Notre Dame got special treatment. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not try to dance around the conversation. If you did not hear, the 12-team playoff is here to stay at least for the upcoming season. The hidden secret that not a lot of people are talking about is the fact that we really don't know what the formats are almost going into every single season for the most of the 2020s. And there's a lot of push for potentially a 24-team playoff, maybe an 18-team playoff. But for 2026 to 2027, we know exactly what we have moving forward. And it's still the 12-team playoff, even though we've only seen 2 iterations of it and we're still trying to fix it. That's not what we're here to talk about because that's not major news. And honestly, this overall isn't anything groundbreaking, but there's a couple of key differences into what they've changed for the upcoming season. The first one is we are avoiding what we saw this past season where we had 2 group of 5 teams make it over an 8-5 ACC champion in Duke. So now as we move forward, it is the top 5 champions, but you have 4 Power 4 conferences guaranteeing a spot. So you're not going to get pushed out if you're a Duke team. You would have made it if we had these same rules set last season. And now we're going to have just the 1 group of 5 team, which I understand. I get it. It makes complete sense. I'm in the camp that I believe that the group of 5 should have their own playoff. And I think that it was disappointing to have basically 2 of the first round playoff games be non-competitive games. You knew it going into it. I'm not saying this will fix it, but I think more times than not, if we had a 10-year period of these specific rules, you're not going to have many 8-5 Duke teams winning their respective conference. And I think it's completely fair to say if that team had made it in the last playoff, we probably would have seen similar results. It might have been more of a competitive game, but I'm not going to sit here in the hypothetical sphere. The real news story, the real plot line that has changed is Notre Dame. From this point moving forward, and to be fair, it's a very loose term of moving forward. If they are ranked in the final top 12, not before conference championship or not after conference championship weekend, the final rankings going into conference championship weekend, if they are ranked in the top 12, that locks them in. Really let yourself sit and digest that statement. Not an independent school, not like a UConn or anybody else. It is specifically Notre Dame that if they are in the final top 12 going into conference championship weekend, they are making the college football playoff. No ands, ifs, or buts. That is wild to think about. Truly, when we think of Notre Dame going into 2026, and I have their schedule pulled up for a reason, this is a school that not only bickered and went back and forth with USC, one of the best rivalries in all of college football, and got USC to basically wave the white flag damn near and say, we just can't do this anymore. We cannot have you on the schedule anymore for the foreseeable future. This is what we're seeing with Notre Dame's schedule. Because now, as we enter conference championship weekend, you are going to be seeing a scenario where you have the Power 4, all 4 are going to have locked up spots. Then the group of 5 champ, we're at 5 automatic bids. And frankly, more times than not, even if we say, let's play the hypothetical game in 2026, Notre Dame loses to Miami, who is a projected top 3 team in the country. To be fair, Notre Dame is in the same spot. They're going to be 11-1. SMU might be a difficult game. Well, you got that at home. Same could be said for the Miami game. Maybe going to Provo and facing off against BYU, that's a difficult game. Maybe you drop that one. Maybe you even drop Miami. A 10-2 Notre Dame team could very well find themselves still in the top 12, like we saw this past year. And if the same scenario was played out where going into conference championship weekend, they were in the top 12, well, there we go. We got already 6 automatic bids, 6 of them. And now we're going to have 6 at-large teams. This is wild to think about. Truly, when we think of Notre Dame getting this automatic qualifier, it's not in a sense of surprise, because I'm not surprised by this. I don't think anybody that follows college football should be surprised that Notre Dame is getting this quote-unquote special treatment as a team that has pushed and, screamed and cried that they will never join a conference, and to come to not the saving grace or I guess not to come to the defense of Notre Dame, but if we're looking at the perspective and putting ourselves in their shoes, not a lot of us would join a conference if you knew how much money they were making from their own TV deals and being an independent. And when you have that gold helmet and you have the brand and the notoriety that Notre Dame has, what's the incentive of joining a conference, especially after this? Truly, they are going to be a team that, even though if we were to go look at the schedule again and say they could lose a game, like, for example, we'll pull it back up. If they lost a game to Michigan State, maybe it's a wild Purdue, the spoiler makers come back out and they lose one of those games, but they beat a BYU team, then they lose to Miami, but they run the rest of the table. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. This is the same program with Marcus Freeman that lost to Marshall. They lost to Northern Illinois at home. So these crazy upsets aren't out of the realm of possibility with this program, specifically with this tenure and this coaching staff. But it won't matter. I really don't believe, if we are being consistent and truly believed that when you have a light schedule like this, that you should be punished more, that you are going to be punished for losing to the bad teams, Notre Dame is just not going to be the case. They don't have to worry about going to conference championship weekend and being punished for being an independent. This is enabling them. This is them getting the special treatment. And this is coming from a Texas A&M fan that watched them get special treatment in 2020. This is the main reason why I'm not surprised by it. I'm not saying that this should be a sense or a case where we're looking at Notre Dame and saying, yeah, we're not surprised by it, so we should just sweep this under the rug. We really shouldn't worry about it. I think this is bad for the sport. Truthfully, I think this is bad for the sport. And it's I think a catch-22 situation where one side has no incentive to join a conference, and then you enable them to not join a conference. Whereas logic would tell you, I think it would be better for the sport if they join the ACC, a conference that is desperate for any kind of life. I think they would be better off in the Big Ten, and we would avoid this. And I just think we continue to dig and dig. And basically, I think that if I were to give an analogy to this, it's like a little kid that continues to, act a fool at the table, whine and cry, maybe sit on their phone the whole time. They're ignoring the parents. And instead of taking away the phone or the iPad or grounding them, you basically hand them an ice cream sundae and say, you're good. You're fine. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter how it impacts the rest of the people in the restaurant. As long as the kid is happy and is, not completely violent or causing actual inflicting pain to other people, I don't care what he does. It doesn't matter if he's screaming, annoying the rest of the college football space. It's fine because it's Notre Dame. It's the golden child for all intents and purposes. I really just, I think we're going to find ourselves continuing to drift closer and closer as a sport. I'm not talking from the perspective of a Texas A&M fan. I'm not talking from an anti-Notre Dame fan, although they are public enemy number one to most college football fans. I feel like we continue to drift to a point where it's like, and I know one of my good friends, CFP Chuck, talked about it. He said, are we going to get to a point with the college football playoff that we are sitting here and going, if you're a fan of a big school, yeah, I really don't have to care about this until we get to the playoffs, because I know that we can lose 2, and if we continue to expand, maybe 3, 4 games, it won't really matter, and the regular season continues to be devalued. That's what I'm a little bit worried about, to be honest, and I fear that we are going to continue to drift towards that path if we keep, I guess, I don't know really how else to say. I don't want to say participation trophies, but loosening the terms and listening to the whiny crowd that continues to groan every single time they're on the outside looking in. Notre Dame should not have made the playoffs this past season. They should have been ranked in front of Miami for a long time. That's on the playoff committee's fault. But because of that title and that the cover of the book is saying Miami made the college football playoff after not being ranked in front of Notre Dame for weeks, for every iteration of the college football playoff until the conference championship weekend. That title, that cover, is what's going to be sold. But the content and the context of the book and everything that would be baked into it would actually tell you that's the playoff committee's fault, not the fault that Notre Dame basically got gaslit and sold a charade that they were an automatic lock of the playoffs, and now they get ripped away from them. The enemy really, yes, is also Notre Dame, but the enemy really could go down to the college football playoff.